Hi, this is Greg Voisen. So, what happens when a multi-million-dollar empire crumbles overnight? And how can losing everything become the greatest gift of your life? I'm the host of Inside Personal Growth, and I'm here today to talk about my interview that I had and the book with John Chappelear called The Daily Six, exploring his transformative journey from what he calls a recovering big shot to discovering 6 life-changing principles that revolutionized both his personal relationships and business success. Now, the gift of devastation. John built a business empire from 2 employees to 250 staff with over 50 million in sales. But in 1991, everything changed. When the banks were forced to liquidate inflated real estate assets, they came for his company. Not because he was failing, but because they needed quick cash for their balance sheets. Here's the shocking part. John had $6 million in assets and $2 million in debt. Logic should have said that he'd walked away with $4 million. Instead, the bank sold his $6 million in assets for $2 million and left him with nothing. But John calls this his gift of devastation. And here's why that reframe changed everything. The business loss wasn't John's only devastation. Years earlier, he'd missed his own wedding anniversary party, so consumed with building his empire that he put his family on the back burner for over a decade, believing they'd be waiting when he finally had time for them. Well, they weren't. So this is the trap that so many driven professionals fall into. Me first mentality that says, I'll focus on my career now and reconnect with what matters later. But as John learned painfully, later sometimes never comes. That's where his book comes in, The Daily Six Framework. From these life lessons, John developed what he calls the Daily Six, 6 principles that transform how we show up in both business and life. His first one is willingness. This comes first because you can't grow with what's already in your head. John wears a willingness bracelet as a daily reminder to stay open to new teachings and lessons. The second one is what he calls daily quiet time. Even this type A entrepreneur learned that meditation isn't about stopping thoughts. It's about creating space between stimulus and response, like training for a marathon. It takes practice, but it gives you emotional control when you need it the most. The third of the Daily Six is service to others. This isn't about being nice, it's strategic. John's definition of love in business, understanding the needs of others and treating those needs as important as your own. So when this shift from what can I sell you to how can I serve you, everything changes. Love and forgiveness. That's his fourth one. In the corporate setting, this means caring about your people beyond their productivity. John once gave business cards to truck drivers, some over 60 years old who'd never had one. The impact on morale was instant and profound. Now, number 5 is gratitude. This shifts your perspective daily, like stepping back from a painting where you're viewing too closely. Gratitude helps you see the bigger picture. And number 6 is action. This is what separates the Daily Six from being another intellectual exercise. You must move these principles into every conversation and every interaction. So here's what's fascinating. When John started speaking about these concepts in 1998, business leaders said, I love this personally, but I'm not sure I'd pay you to teach this to my company. The resilience was real. John proved that companies implementing these principles see happier, more productive, more engaged employees. As he puts it, if productivity went up, would you be happier? Then try this. If it doesn't cost anything, it's just being nice and paying attention. One powerful example, instead of walking through the office and saying morning, 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 morning to everybody the same way, truly see each person, understand their individual needs and challenges. This cognitive dissonance of fake interaction wastes enormous energy. So some key insights. John shares in this a profound exercise. Break down 5 things that take up most of your time, and then write down the 5 things you're most proud of or grateful for in your life. Notice the gap? Most people discover that what consumes their time isn't aligned with their values at all. That's the work, closing the gap through intentional daily practices of these 6 principles. So if you could implement just one of these 6 principles that I discussed starting tomorrow, John recommends beginning with willingness. Ask yourself, what am I willing to work on? Am I willing to be a better spouse, a parent, a leader? Then set a daily intention. Today I want to be more loving, or today I want to express my gratitude. Set a phone reminder to check in on these intentions throughout the day. The questions John's spiritual psychology professional asks haunts us all. I asked him this during the interview. If a video camera was following you the entire day and you played it back, how much would you actually like? The Daily 6 gives you the tools to like what you see. So check out John Chappelear's book on Amazon, The Daily 6. There'll be a place to get that with a link below. Visit John's website. There you can get free resources, including a chapter from the book. It's John Chappelear, CHAPPELEAR.com. And for the complete podcast with even more insights and stories, listen to the full podcast that I did with him on Inside Personal Growth. And don't forget to click the link to subscribe below to this channel for more transformational content. Sometimes the most practical wisdom comes from the hardest lessons, and John's journey proves that devastation can indeed become the greatest gift for transformation. Thanks for listening to this edition of WizeNotes. I appreciate that.